Welcome back, everyone, to Valorant Challengers North America, where we get to find out which team is going to be able to battle their way through for a chance at Ascension and joining, of course, Americas. I'm so excited to get started with this stage and cannot wait to get started with our matches for today. So let's just hop right into it. I'm Sierra Dawn, and kicking off the analyst desk, we have none other than Dan Dryad and Van Silly. Hello, welcome back, guys. How's it been, Vance? How's it going?
Sorry, I need to have a double look to see if my lighting's a little bit better. I feel that I'm more clear this time, right? But probably not as beautiful as you two. But super excited. This is another great year of challengers. We have a bunch of new teams coming in, old faces, roster changes, all the wazoo, basically, to figure out who's going to be the next team moving up to Ascensions to be able to go to partnership next year.
Yeah, and it's really cool because we have, like you said, new teams and players that we might not heard of before, but we're
Mhm.
gonna be hearing a lot of this year and on this season as well. I'm excited to see Shopify. I'm gonna say it right away. But
Which one?
I'm
Black or
excited for
gold?
all the teams, but I'm excited for Shopify. That's it.
It'll be an exciting time, especially to being able to see that there's been players that moved up. Of course, we got to see Ascension. That's now that we've had two Ascensions and being able to congratulate teams that they moved on to Americas. It's exciting stuff here. There's a lot to be looking out forward to. And I feel like this first week or two is definitely going to be a lot of rediscovery for the teams. But of course, there's a
Mhm.
little bit of a format change as well. So we can all get acquainted to it. We have a quick video to get you up to speed. Welcome to the first stage of Challengers North America 2025. This year, we're bringing an exciting new competitive format to the table where every match matters. Let's break it down. Our journey begins with the Swiss group stage, featuring 16 incredible teams matching against each other in thrilling best-of-3 matches. Each team will require 4 wins to advance to the playoffs. However, losing 4 times means elimination from the tournament. Once the top 8 teams from the group stage are decided, it's time to get straight to business and begin our next stage, the playoffs. Each team will face off in a double elimination bracket. Much like the previous stage, these will be best-of-3 matches to determine who will advance to the next bracket stage until we reach the lower and grand finals. Once we get to the finals, the matches will be decided in an exciting best-of-5 where only the strongest team will survive. But hold on, we're not done yet. Concluding the first Challenger stage, we'll introduce a unique promotion and relegation system to raise the stakes for new contenders. We'll introduce the top 3 premier teams from Episode 10 Act 1 and add the bottom 3 Challenger teams to be part of the promo relegation cycle. First, the bottom Challenger teams will clash against each other in a single round robin cycle where the lowest performing team will be relegated. As for the others, the best premier team will receive a direct promotion to Challenger Stage 2, while the final 2 teams will battle the remaining Challengers teams in a wild best-of-5 match to secure the final spot for the next stage. Intense action, high stakes, and unforgettable moments. Stage 1 of Challengers NA 2025 promises to deliver new epic jaw-dropping and heart-pounding moments we all crave and love. You won't want to miss a single match. Tune in to this year's competition to find out who will be next to get their shot at VCT Ascension. Just a little bit of changes for the stage, but it should be exciting nonetheless. And of course, when we were talking about the changes, Dan, you were already talking about teams and ones you were looking forward to and pulling up the first little part of our bracket here. There's a lot of names for us to get familiar with, but I think too, once we slowly but surely get a deep dive on all of these teams, some of these players are going to be quite recognizable.
It's players that we know and players that have gone to other teams as well. I feel like the offseason, we always talk about these roster changes, what new teams are going to come up. But I feel like for the most part, the Challenger season is, I would say the rosters are staying very similar with a few, like 2-3 changes you see in each team. So, as we settle and we find out who's the best, right now I'm kind of in the middle where I don't know where to put anybody just yet.
That's the thing. It's cool as well that the hype video towards the end showed a 4K of Flya from 16 Shopify because he went over to join a tier 1 team and EMEA. So the cool thing about Challengers so far and kicking off again in 2025 is the fact that even if you don't get to ascend into partnership, you still have an opportunity to get scattered out and join into tier 1, such as many other players actually did so in the partnership program in Americas in itself. But to talk about teams overall, dude, it's so hard this time around to actually have a clear favorite. Last year we were looking at the top 4, for example, Oxygen Gaming, Dark Zero, aka the Turtle Troop team, M80, for example. But I don't think M80, to be honest, is going to be as strong as they were in previous years, although they have great coaching staff around them. I think I'm going to have to keep my eye open to the Rankers, for example. That is going to be a team to look out for.
100%. And when we're talking about a couple of these teams, I definitely agree with you, Vans, that there's not a clear-cut favorite, but there definitely is a couple of teams that if I had to start making some bets off the bat, I know exactly where I'd hedge them. And talking about the first series today, we'll be able to see one of those teams. It's going to be TSM going up against Winthrop University. And TSM is a team, there's a lot to be talking about here because, of course, there was changes going into this, but Dan, when we talk about that journey to ascension and trying to ascend up, TSM had the run next year. Unfortunately, didn't end well, but that has eyes looking at them going into this season, right?
Yeah, I feel like some people forgot that TSM is one of the teams that made it to Ascension representing North America, and they unfortunately couldn't make it, but the core, for the most part, remains the same. As you see, just some slight changes where we're going to have Rico and Vora playing instead, but the core of GMD Sim in 7, it stays the same, and I actually really like to see this. I feel like these 3 players have added a lot to the table to what TSM had to bring, and were ultimately the reason why they made it to Ascension in comparison to Dark Zero or Oxygen or the teams that Vincili was talking about. So it's a good core to work around, and I want to see what these additions are able to bring.
If you're telling me that it's going to be easy for us to choose who's going to win this game today, at least between TSM and Winthrop, I don't think that I have a clear favorite going into this one yet. Yes, you still have GMD, you still have Sim and 7 that could pop off at any moment, just like they did during Ascension, but there's a lot of unproven talent, most notably the ones that went most recently in this roster, announced as Recoil and Vora. Vora is actually joining in this roster as the latest IGL to the team, to T-Dog and Poise as the latest iterations of IGLs for this roster. And he hasn't really recorded an official game since, I think, like May or something like that of last year in 2024. So then for me, it's, you have to now try to convince the other players that your system's going to work. They also have a new coach, for example, with MBS that's been with Ascend since its inception until now, when Ascend unfortunately just stepped away here from Challengers over in Europe. So there's so many systems that has to be implemented right now, and if it doesn't gel right away, that's a lot of pressure on that new IGL.
I'm excited to see new systems, though, because TSM, my biggest criticism last year was all these players are so good. Why aren't we seeing more wins? Why aren't we seeing things gel together? So I'm willing to give them a week or two, but I'm excited that they're switching things up. And we're looking back at that talent that we got to see last year. We first have to start talking about Sim because, I mean, Dan, when we're getting to see this core stay together and we're getting to see some of the firepower the team has, Sim is the first person that comes to mind.
And especially because when we had last year that conversation of who are the best duelists in Challengers, we thought of Sim, we thought of Redux, we thought of Mata, we thought of these 3 players especially. Now Mata is gone, Mata's in Energy, Redux is in Sentinels, and Sim, well, he's still here. He might right now be the best duelist, and I'm putting it right there because he's just been insanely good.
Okay, hot take, but I'll accept it. I'll accept it for sure, because for me, TSM, it's a lot around Sim as you live by the sword or you die by the sword. If you look at the Ascension runs where, you know, they almost made it out of groups because they lost so many games in like overtime, double overtimes, 3-map series, the reason why they're able to fight so well against their opponents was because of Sim. In these moments where it could actually pop off and say, okay, I'm going to just move forward and then get a 4K for the round, drop 30 kills with like, I don't know, 21 first bloods or something like that on Sunset in last season. But then you also have another map where he's just going to be ice cold. And when he is, and the other ones aren't really, you know, picking up the pace either, it's such a one-sided affair for the opposite team. So I'm just hoping here. I mean, he had the opportunity to try out with EG, potentially almost make it into partnership with EG, but EG unfortunately decided to go for Icy instead. So, you know, there's probably a chip on the shoulder where hopefully that's going to add more drive into him wanting to be that best duelist that Dan Dry was mentioning here in Challengers. But again, I think I'm alongside with you, Sierra. I'm going to have to wait those 1 and 2 weeks to see how much consistency we're going to see out of Sim.
Yeah, but if we're going to talk about consistency on the team and something that did help them gel together, then we have to start talking about the next player here and look at Seven. If you're looking at players to be setting up on the play, I mean, Seven. I mean, Dan, right away when we were talking about beforehand, you were like, Seven Gecko, let's go! Like,
Yeah. Seven is one of my favorite players to watch on the Initiator, and especially on the Gecko. Every time the TSM were playing Bind, this guy was going insane. And then they started implementing the Gecko in different maps last year, and you could see the impact that Seven had, not only in assisting Sim, for example, but him setting up the plays for himself. He's insanely good. He's been part of Challengers for now quite some time, and I feel like this could be the roster where he's able to shine a little bit more. I want to see also what he's been playing, maybe at Tejo. I mean, I don't know.
Oh, that'd be kind of cool, yeah, actually, to see him on Teo, because, yeah, Teo just recently came out. A lot of teams have been implementing him in compositions in Americas, EMEA, Pacific, basically everywhere, worldwide. The only thing is right now is, you know, some teams, and I think other analysts and casters would agree, is that some teams that fall behind that don't really want to implement Teo right away could fall behind within the meta. But now again, you're going into a whole different system, with Vora as the IGL and MBS. There's going to be a lot to do and a lot of catching up to do just to make sure that your fundamentals are correct in the first place before you can start cooking with your compositions. I wouldn't be surprised here if we're going to be a little bit more vanilla into how TSM will approach these games in the very beginning in terms of composition, playing in their comfort zone. So if we're going to play in the comfort zone and we see Seven back on a Gecko on that bind, as you mentioned before, Dendrite and Sierra, it'll look pretty good. I think they'll still be looking pretty strong on that first week. But overall, I also think that the agent pool around Seven has grown since last year as well, being able to play double duelists when they need to on Abyss. I think that's also very nice. So it also adds a lot more here to what TSM could bring to the table.
I mean, this is just the beginning of Challengers, and I think too, of course, you want to be getting these wins, you need to get the points, but I think maybe if you're trying to start off on the right foot, maybe we'll get to see some experimentation and try and push the other teams, because you're not going to be the only team feeling maybe a little uncomfortable going into this. And now it's time to start talking about opponents for the day. Winthrop University. I think out of all of the rosters and all the changes, even if there is a couple of changes that we see here, this is one where we've gotten to see these players. We've gotten to see them play before. They've sometimes made some little tweaks here and there, but this still seems really comfortable, Van. So I'm curious with how they'll approach this Challenger season, considering even with the skills of the players, the track record isn't necessarily the greatest.
That's right. I think that's what plagues them a little bit, especially with like the absence of moves, the return of moves, Screwface coming in as the IGL, thinking that potentially Winthrop University has what it takes to, you know, upset those teams and go on a deep run just like Blinn did in the last season. But unfortunately, it was the total opposite. They actually fell like deep in the cracks, like deep in the abyss in terms of their record and their situation here after split 2. They got relegated on top of that against Lemonade Stand. The good thing, at least, about this roster is since the re-addition of moves and the introduction of Flare, they've been doing good grinding in the open brackets to qualify back into split 3, and then also just going back through the close qualifiers to beat a team like Shopify Rebellion Gold to make it to this point. So there is some sort of redemption arc around this team, but overall, it almost feels to me that I want to keep Winthrop University around like that mid-pack, lower pack if you want to go through like any type of power rankings for challengers here in North America, because again, they look really good on paper, but there's just a mental block. There's also maps sometimes where moves is going to start pulling out a Reyna or not pulling a Reyna, and then it kind of like just breaks a little bit in terms of like a look that you want to bring for Winthrop University, because sometimes it's just like we're just going to aim out and frag out, and then that's how they pull through, but they still need to build up a little bit more of that macro.
I like how instantly you say Reyna and you see Dan's eyes just like completely light up. Like, yeah.
And Sim plays Reyna too, so you know, maybe.
True.
Yeah, fingers crossed for you, Dan. I'm really hoping.
You're gonna love it.
All right, talking about the right points of Winthrop University, even if, I mean, Vans, you're already saying maybe more of a middle of the pack team here, I definitely think that there's a lot of light on this team. And first up, got to talk about Infiltrator, because when we've gotten to see Infiltrator hit the server, it has been great things as well. He was the top of the closed qualifiers, Dan. So already, if we're looking at the potential of Sim with a slow start today and Infiltrator, who has definitely shown up and impressed, I think that this could be really interesting, especially with how much time Winthrop has been putting in the server overall.
Yeah, they have been one of those teams that were running the double duelist in a bunch of different maps and trying different things. And that, we just had that conversation, right? How many teams are we going to see going for the comfort, going for different ideas? Winthrop, it feels like they're not afraid to play these weird compositions, to play with the double duelists, to play with the Reyna, with the Yoru that we even saw in Haven last year. They are willing to innovate, and Infiltrator is a big part of it. He's so strong, especially on this Jet, but I think such a strong duelist that it helps the team kind of work around him. And I mean, the last time that we saw Winthrop go against TSM is when Winthrop got that crazy upset. They won 2-0, and that's when we were like, wait, okay, TSM, what is going on? And things turn around. They're the ones who made it to Ascension, but still a Winthrop that can show that they can upset anybody at any point.
Yeah, sorry, I just wanted to add, because at the same time, yes, the first time I was like, oh crap, they've upset TSM. I was like, oh wait, okay, maybe they are actually looking like the collegiate team. It was like, because I think last year we kind of did make history, right? We were saying like, oh, Winthrop University collegiate team, make it into Challengers. Yeah. It's building up the path for collegiate, and Challengers is a great platform for collegiate teams to potentially make it to partnership. But then after that first upset, everybody's just like high in hopes in terms of what collegiate could bring. Then everything just fell really, really flat towards the midseason. I mean, you got to be honest. You got to be honest with the results, So I'm just hoping for the bounce back. I love those guys for sure, and I love watching him and watching him compete, for example, for Red Bull Campus Clutch when they're going through that kind of stuff. But when it comes down to where it matters and when you want to bring it to a partnership, they still need to find like that little something that's going to give them that confidence so they can really steamroll through this season. But I think it's still going to be a work in progress.
I mean, that's what Challengers is for some of these teams.
Yeah.
Just putting in that work. We get to see that work in progress. This is where I'm going to say we love collegiate, so you're not going to get a bunch of hate mail your way here, Vans. I got to say, I got to double down on the love here. And next up for love, we got to send it over to Initiator Scan over on Winthrop side and talk a little bit about Nasi. Because, again, these are players that we've gotten to see kick around, Vans, and I'm going to make you say the nice things now, all right?
I actually love Nasi. So again, despite results of Winthrop University, I still love these players individually. And being one of them is Nasi. He's very calm in the server and even outside the server. In the big games, whenever it's even tough games, remember like these camera shots where he's just simply eating a snack between rounds during timeouts, just like knowing what he has to do and knowing how to engage and elevate his duelists so that they can actually get the best out of him and or out of the team rather. And when it comes down to clutch moments, is actually quite decent into that as well. So again, it's on paper, it's still a team that looks really, really damn good. They just need to make sure that they find ways that all of it gels into how they want to run around the macro of this game. And this is a great opportunity, again, as a first game against TSM for the opener for Challengers. I think could be a very similar storyline to last year where they get the upset versus TSM. TSM still trying to rebuild after adding those two other players. So there's a chance for them to build all that chemistry very early in the season.
Yeah, which will be nice to be looking out for. And hey, if we're looking at teams that are rebuilding and we're looking at a team that already has chemistry and all the synergy, then hey, maybe there is the room for the upset on the horizon. But the biggest duel that I'm going to be looking at in the server, we got to talk about a lot of different players, but I want to highlight the duelists from each side, particularly too, where this maybe could fall a little flat for TSM. Obviously, Stan, when we're talking about Sim and how strong he is, but maybe sometimes not necessarily there right away, or the team kind of live by the sword, die by the sword. If Sim starts to have a slow game and Infiltrator doesn't, well, then what does that say for TSM here?
I don't think that's gonna happen, though. I think Sim, I know that, yeah, sure, sometimes he's not insane getting 30 every game, but he's consistently good, I would say. He's a consistent duelist player. That's why we had him at the very top of the best duelist that we had in Challengers last year. He was consistent. I think Infiltrator, though, on the other side, sometimes he struggles when the team is struggling as well. So you don't have that one duelist that can be the difference maker in Infiltrator, while I do see that in Sim.
Okay.
I think they're both the same. I think they're both the same as they're both hot and cold. But when it comes to the players being hot, I think you talk about Sim a lot more than you would about Infiltrator. I don't think it's the name around the pedigree of TSM, but it's just in general the type of plays that Sim can make in terms of these multi-kills and hero plays is a lot more, to lack of a better word, you remember them more, than Infiltrator popping off. The only one that I can remember from Infiltrator was before even Winthrop made it into Challengers, where they were grinding into open bracket and he was playing arrays on Lotus and just popped off in the OT. I think he was like dropping close to like 30 kills or something like that. I forgot against what team, but at least it was memorable enough to say, okay, he's on my radar for Infiltrator. I want to know what he could bring here towards the Challengers. as much as I love Vietnamese players going into challengers, he hasn't convinced me well enough to continue to pump the gas around how good this player could be. But definitely he would have the potential if he's still in this roster right now here with Winthrop University.
I don't have the memory to remember specific plays, but I read Infiltrator's name on this roster and my brain goes, oh yeah, he's good. So I know that I've seen some good stuff out there, and hopefully a lot more in the server today. As of course we have to start narrowing in a little bit more the match ahead and go over to our map picks and bans. Of course, there's been an off season. So we have a little bit of information from the teams from the grinding here, Dan. But other than that, could be a lot of new, and I'm excited to see Fracture first up in the pool picked by Winthrop.
This is going to be the first test that we're going to see on the compositions and what these two teams, Winthrop and TSM, are going to be running. We talked about that they hope potentially getting played by one of them. We talked about the innovation. Fracture is one of those maps where a lot of teams in NA, a lot of teams in other regions as well, have been playing the Tejo and the Breach. So it could be a cool combination to see, but we've also seen teams go for the standard. But I feel like if we see it on Fracture, we're going to see it on Bind.
I think you bring up a great point with going with the standard, and I think that's what, again, talking about TSM, what you're trying to do here with their new roster, because surprisingly enough, them banning Abyss and banning Lotus, the map that they love to play during the Ascension playoffs, and then a map of Lotus that they love playing during the regular season. Remember when they had such a good 1/2 against M80, unfortunately somehow lost in overtime where they couldn't hold a defensive round. But nonetheless, I think that goes back to, again, to the basics, playing to your comfort picks. So Bind being another map that they love to play, but they don't have to be as elaborate as they could or they should be here on Abyss and Lotus. And then to be able to veto up to a map of Haven, where it's basically the most common map and the easiest one to kind of learn, and you kind of just, you hear Haven, you're like, okay, I know how to play this map. So I think this is going to look pretty good here, at least for the vetoes for TSM going into this matchup.
I'm just I first off love Fracture as a map. I think it's just so goofy, so fun time. But also Winthrop, we talked about how much they've been playing recently, and they've brought out the Teo, and they've also been bringing out the Chamber for moves. So if we get to see a little bit of inkling of that, I think that should be a lot of fun. But in terms of the actual predictions for the day, even if I have high hopes for Winthrop, I think I have higher expectations here of TSM personally. And
oh no,
I'm not the only one apparently, guys. This is a clean sweep. Oh no, the caster curse.
We don't have that power. I don't think we don't have.
I mean,
that power.
Wide's casting this game today. There's got to be some power in there.
What?
We talk about how crazy Wyatt's pitcher goes, by the way. All of y'all, dang, but he's got the power stance too.
He could step on me.
What?
Okay, guys.
What?
Anyway.
What?
Anyways.
All right, TSM.
I think it makes sense, though. It makes sense. TSM to take over this. I think we all nailed it, right, when we were presenting these two teams. So TSM, despite them coming with 2 new players, they still have not only MBS as a coach, but MBS is also a world champion. Let's remember that, right? Ascend champion for 2021, beating M3C back in the grand finals of champs. And then, with Ascend, have almost gotten to the point where they could have ascended, I think, 2 years ago before that. So if you think about a coach that has a lot of experience and knows how to build a team or work with a team that doesn't have too much firepower or star power, most notably the most recent Ascent rosters, and he could still put these type of results, you will be hopeful for this roster of TSM to make a deep run with young fraggers in that roster.
And I'm really excited to see TSM for those changes and start to kind of discover the reasoning behind it. I think that's the most exciting of all. But of course, with the first day of Challengers, we got to make sure everybody is set and ready and get our players in the server. So while that is happening, we're going to be taking a short break. On the other end of it, TSM versus Winthrop. See you real quick. Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for your patience. TSM going up against Winthrop University, about to get started underway with our first map of the series, which is Fracture. TSM haven't necessarily gotten to see this, but Winthrop University, Dan, they've been grinding the offseason. We've gotten to see them play this, and it's their pick. So I'm excited with them bringing it out.
Yes!
Both teams, okay.
I'm excited. This is what I wanted to see. I wanted to see it their home both sides. We've started to see a little bit in VCT Americas, and it was fun, but I feel like teams are still getting used to how they want to implement these missiles that you can get a lot of value off, especially here in Fracture. But we have a double, the Sentinels is where it changes the most, where you're gonna have Chamber, as you talked about, where Moves is gonna be playing it, and Rico playing this Killjoy that I feel like I haven't seen this combination just yet.
No, I haven't. And I know last time I saw KG on this map for Fracture playing against Ateo, she did not have a good time, especially if your name is Finesse playing on the top of B Heaven. You couldn't really hold the B side at all. So I'm intrigued to see how they could still implement this KG right now and how much information or what they're trying to gather in terms of passive information with the KJ in their roster.
This one should be exciting, a fun one. And with Winthrop taking the pick for this, you know that gotta feel confident for this. But it's time to start getting underway with the first map of the series and present your casters to take you through. It's going to be Uber and Wyatt. Take it away.
Yeah, imagine being Finesse and just catching strays in a Challengers broadcast, Wyatt.
That's
absolutely...
He redeemed himself. He went crazy. He won the IGL head-to-head against 100 Thieves. Exactly. Living in the past.
He made Boostio absolutely eat his words.
And he's also just not in this server.
Yeah, not an issue here, but I do want to point out, I'm glad that Vans brings up the Killjoy matter, because it does feel like, and something we observed over the last couple of weeks, is that Killjoy is neutralized in almost every part of her game against these Tejo comps.
Yeah, absolutely. It's cool to see the Chamber actually being brought out here. I think it's a pretty good pick. Like, Cypher has never been particularly great on this map, but just for the general talking point of the being a Sentinel main in the Tejo meta, it's so obnoxious just getting all of your setups destroyed by a free recyclable utility piece. And so just the Chamber having the one trip and being more focused on fragging out, I like it as an option. I really do.
All right. We'll be in the game in just a second. Wyatt's going to get his mic sorted out. Don't worry about it, because I've got to harass him about Vora and Recoil here, because obviously these new additions, these ranked demons on the TSM side, raise a lot of questions. We'll see how it pays out, but already defenders exploring out of B towards the top side of the map here, and Vora has some of this util set up. It might be a pretty fast hit over towards B, and with no one really at Arcade or at Gen on the defender's side, they're liable to get overrun pretty quick. Sim has snuck so far up onto this B side already.
Completely quiet. We've got Mossy and Tap. Frankly, if he can live, that would be some great work.
You good there, Wyatt? You want to give that a little tweak, brother?
Yap and stuff.
All right, give me a mo. I'll see if I can bust this out. Sky Smoke over towards that tower side here, and it was just Flare tucked around the corner there, eventually having to reveal himself. TSM get a heck of a lot of mileage from creeping so far up onto the B side and being allowed into B main in order to smoke things out, and a fast follow-up on that util that headed over towards tower allowed them to overrun pretty quickly. And ultimately, it doesn't matter if you're a Killjoy sat up there or any other agent, you are going to be pressured very heavily. Look at this util, big flash, jerk, infiltrator, completely blind. Nasi 2v1 instantly, actually swings back in for the trade, but there's another player for TSM absolutely flooding into that part of the map and overwhelming. And we'll see, of course, what the run back's going to be here on the anti-eco round. To look over towards this A side a little more. Gimon anticipating this push-up is not incentivized to dig any deeper across the map. However, TSM feel like there's an option to challenge this, to overwhelm and maybe even push through halls and have an easy A plant. In the meantime, Recoil at the top of the map, very slowly headed in the arcade direction. There's a multi-stack here for Winthrop, but that stealth drone's going to light them up there. Nice little fault line. Still, Sim can't get in there. You would have thought that it would have been tough there for Moobs to escape, but beautifully done. Winthrop able to take one off that attack side. Still rifles, of course, in the right hands. Does Vora 7 Recoil have some decent arsenal to work with? And this B site was abandoned in order to facilitate for this multi-stack over at the A side. So TSM are going to get in here with a plant. We'll see how the post rattles out. It's going to be an aftershock that's, okay, gets some sort of value here, but Vore at the back of the site's already dealt with Flare. All of Winthrop have to set up here and try and make their way forward from Generator and through that canteen part of the map, and now the wall bangs are starting to come through. Nasty maybe with the flashpoint to set up. Fault line deployed now as Gimon wants to round the corner, and just as the guided salvo comes on in, Gimon's able to bring Nasty down. Nice use of util here, and TSM have really cleaned up this round after a bit of a rocky start. Jerk knows rather that his position has been noted and already taken plenty of spam. It's going to be 7 young initiated God securing this anti-eco here for TSM as we head into the next rifle. Looking here is a bonus round for TSM. They've managed to maintain a couple of Guardians here. Trying to see if we can get some use out of the Stingers. This is that fault line that was laid off. So much of that util support Gimon to swing in that corner. Fault line, guided salvo. Just playing up close to the Stinger. A great way to empower him to make that push. All right, Wyatt, you good, buddy?
Yeah, I think so. Was all good earlier, and now fixed, solved. Love to see that. How's are you gonna steal my day rate or partial of for doing both roles? Is that how this works?
Yeah, we can work it out afterwards, bro. Don't worry. I'll give you a good deal.
Additional like 5% of my
You'll get a better deal than Riot gets. That's what I'm saying. You know what I mean? But it's just business, nothing personal. You know.
What's going on here? TSM, they won the pistol round.
Yeah, and the anti-eco. Yeah, they sniffed out a 4-stack on A side and they pivoted B, won the round.
It seems like a clean anti-eco. They have hella cash. Love that for them.
Pivoting chill little bonus. Double Guardian bonus. They got rid of the Stinger at least.
Just going for a little B split. Pretty standard 4-1 on this map. Get that late lurk coming from the opposite side. 2 players in tower. Dangerous. So dangerous. Caught by the ultimate.
Oh my god, this util is ridiculous. The Rolling Thunder and Sim. I mean, what better player could you ask for to make use of that? There were 2 instances of the guided salvo, it seemed like, that came down, and then a Rolling Thunder. Tower was cleared. Winthrop forced to play out on the site, Wyatt, getting hit by that Rolling Thunder, and Sim comes in with a follow-up.
Yeah, trying to anchor sites against this comp is absolute nightmare fuel, especially playing in positions like tower that are just so cramped. And having 2 players in there at that's tough, man.
Sim wanted the ace. Wanted a bad flare. Got to be able to fight back here. And he's giving him a fighting chance on this gun round for Winthrop. Still healthy enough, but just doesn't really have the time to work with. And Vora sat around a corner. It's just an absolute avalanche of util, and recoil will emerge to put TSM up 3-0.
So they were happy to try and hunt for that gun as well. The economy is so good. Send Winthrop back onto the eco immediately. You really can snowball the game out of control playing defense with the Breach Tejo. It's so oppressive when you're fighting for space. But Winthrop just were not doing that on this round. They're going to have to get more proactive and take the fight either to arcade or early towards B main, force util out of the attackers to re-clear. So, you know, maybe it messes up with their timing for going into a full execute. They don't have some of the pieces that they want.
I don't mind this from Moobs, at least trying to push up a little bit. Getting some defenders over towards Arcade seems to be an important part of shutting down this push, but having to play off the sides at the start of the round as defenders, pretty uncomfortable stuff. Celtron going to come in here. Moobs obviously was able to relocate with that rendezvous. Looks like they caught Sim out, so Headhunter already connecting. Recoil, the Infiltrator. Oh my god, sorry. Wow. The util follow-up there was pretty darn nice, of course, from Jerk, but that's going to be a key kill. One out there by Winthrop. TSM down to 3 in this post-plant.
Down to 3, and they're going to get pinched from multiple angles. That was, frankly, a must-win duel from Recoil. The movement from Infiltrator with the Stinger was just a little bit too strong. 7 wants to take a fight to them forward. Wow, what a shot! But insta-trade from Flare.
Still, these pistols getting some serious value. Vora has to turn this, but now has to swing out of that aftershock. Kimono can help him for the high ground. Let's see if Vora even needed it. Kimon eventually goes down, but it's a big ask. Yeah, Nasty only had the Stinger to work with there. Pretty effective round considering how little Winthrop bought into it. Not successful. Still going down 0-4, but a chance now to buy up again.
That was a great little swing timing from GMD, the real veteran on this TSM team, has been competing since the beta of Valorant. I just really maintained a high level the entire time. He was a standout for TSM last year. Now, integrating in some of those rookies, Winthrop were in such a fantastic position to convert that eco round. Falls to pieces, now back on the full buy, ready to contest a main.
It's going to be a nasty fault line from Trader, as you can see. He's going to be ahead of it, though. Is there a flash out of the smoke? Okay, still throwing this thing. Oh, okay, doesn't see Infiltrator somehow. Wow, talk about living up to your name. He gets in there and finds a 1-for-1 at the very least. Jerk suppressed here. Now maybe regretting looking to take the fight, but also there's a showstopper in play. Jerk's found his second there inside halls, and there's a door in the way. God, what is this? This is a classic TSM round. Wheels absolutely falling off. Spaghetti all over the ground. And Sim fires that showstopper at a closed door.
Yeah, I can't be mad. It does proc the door open, but it went just a little bit to the right. Wasn't close enough to actually kill Nasi. I'm not mad at them trying to go for that fast pinch, jumping out a drop. That was really the only way they'd be able to try and convert that round after losing the A main fight. I think the stealth drone may have just caught Infiltrator too late. Didn't have enough time to actually make the call to recoil.
I don't know. I don't know if it really saw him. I mean, Jerk did so well also to follow up off this. And yeah, Sim had to just sort of guess where he was with that showstopper. Not an ideal circumstance for TSM. So they try. Look at this push up here over towards tree. Ends up being a trade. Sim caught in. Huh? Wow. Just on that corner, Sim actually caught inside a guided salvo.
This is a really good adjustment from Winthrop. It's exactly what I wanted to see, and they swapped into this aggressive style really quick.
Damage there on moves. He had to get out. Pressure now over towards A side ropes as TSM poised to take the side, but Flare will be anchored. We mentioned how difficult it can be to do this, but without enough util, especially with Vora going down, Winthrop give as good as they get and have a player advantage in this post plant.
The TSM are again left in a position where they're going to have to be proactive despite having the spike down to even up the numbers and get ahead of both of those ultimates. GMD, good fight forward moves, was weak, has to get out of the way but can't.
He pulls out the knife. Pretty unlucky timing there. Looks like he was lit. Recoil, stunned up, backside. Gets brought down by Nasty, and Winthrop are going to get their second round on the board. It feels as if they're starting to figure TSM out a little bit, and like you mentioned, Wyatt, an aggressive push off a site early in the round once again gives them a decent edge.
Sim is going to have to play with a little bit more concern in these early rounds. He's definitely one of the most active duelists and challengers, if not the most. Every single game he plays, his rate of first bloods and first deaths so high.
I'm so glad he caught that. He just got, I mean, that's perfect setup. A great trap to catch an overextending duelist there by Winthrop.
And despite that string of rounds, TSM, they're thrown onto the eco pretty fast. They just have the lone sentinel to watch the south side where Winthrop are getting pretty active. They're going to go for this lower reclear. I like the decision.
Push out, wrap around. They're unlikely to run into some action here. It's tough for Sim. Caught in a 1 versus 3. Winthrop really grouping up to secure that.
That was a Sim with a hero rifle, by the way. That would have been the opportunity for TSM to make something happen on this round, but Winthrop should be able to convert this with ease.
Oh, Concuss actually comes in, hits Jerk. He can't do anything about it, and Seven's able to find 2 quick kills. Tunnel now overrun by TSM. Such as the pendulum swings. Nasty thinks to double back and try and do something about it, but TSM have opted to go in the direction where there are no defenders. They've made it through tunnel into arcade. But now where do you go with less than a minute to play?
Brutal that they can't trade that out, to be honest, but regardless, TSM with the clock dwindling, excuse me, they're trying to contact into the B site. You know, off that tap, maybe Flare just wants to let that ultimate rip. 7 is so low. He's the one with the spike. He would go down straight away. Left. Wouldn't be able to dodge out of that.
Moves will have to make their way over from the A side as well. Yeah, they're not sure. Flare and Nasty both actually heading back through attack side spawn. 7's going to get a plant, but he's going to have to give up his life for this. No other way about it. Gimon actually pushes over towards defender spawn and catches moves out. So now a bona fide 2 versus 2 in the post plant. Bora has, this post plant deterrent set up. Flare has to move across from the spike, and they light up for Gimon. A thrifty here for TSM. What a way to fight back in round 7.
Really disastrous. They can't find that trade in tunnel initially. But then you just have to give credit to GMD. I love multiple times now, he's been alive in the post plant, and he's been so good at finding openings to get TSM back in the round despite the man deficit. Like, catches a crazy timing walking through spawn. And then the defenders that are trying to get back in, all of a sudden they're caught in this very unlikely crossfire.
Oh, man. The post-plant Taeho util. They have no places to run out. Quick rolling thunder off the rip here from TSM. They want to go fast. Sim, though, looks like he was caught out by it now. All manner of util catching onto him. Infiltrator pops himself up. That is stunning. Sim, of course, there's something to look straight up into the sky. But Jerk's going to be overrun by the overload here towards Halls. And here come TSM in the rope direction. Infiltrator, though, had a nice corner, but Vora is able to catch him out. And Flare fares just a little better. Goes low. Kimon going to burn Nasty down. And this will put TSM at a player advantage now over on the A side with moves a postcode away.
Ultimates to play with should just 100% seal the deal for TSM right now. Moves might be able to recover a rifle, but at this point, just has the tour de force and the headhunter. This is going to be so tough. I mean, honestly, wouldn't be surprised if he just takes a shot at upper and tries to see if he can't wallbang someone. He would have killed the recoil, but...
Oh, there it is. Kimon punished for the shoulder pick. Recoil is in position. Up on that high ground. That's actually earned a lockdown. I'm curious to see if that actually gets any value whatsoever. But yeah, you're trying to retake as a chamber with no real util. That's why the cookie crumbles.
One of the options with this comp, especially through A main when you're on attack, is to just use the stims from your Brimstone to try and outpace any of the Breach Taeho utility that could stuff you in the choke point. And you know, Sim, he does go down, but he creates a lot of space, draws the utility away. The rest of the team scale nicely together. On these TSM execs, they are, you know, doing a nice job holding the angles for each other. The fundamentals are actually looking pretty nice so far. You know, they're keeping it simple, but it's effective.
With Nodum as being really scrappy without like a real system or plan sometimes. This is looking pretty nice. Tim on the site with that blast pack caught though inside the trademark, able to get out of it. Much of that util comes in and Flare sees Sim just peek on that left-hand side of the site. Recoil had an opportunity here coming from Arcade side, but Moobs was able to cross to the site. Gets revealed again. Recoil's going to be ready for it and flattens him. And that's beautifully done. Now, here comes our lockdown. Jerk does not currently have the util to clear this. That's not going to come back online until just now. And it's really unclear if he's really going to be able to stop it anyway. The lockdown goes off, creates the space that TSM needed to. Winthrop set up here to come through from spawn canteen.
Aftershock is actually not going to be good. Oh my god, that's a hell of a lot of util for 7. Yeah, he can't take it. 3 damaging abilities. That's tough, buddy.
Not a bad angle here for Recoil. He's going to see everyone cross to the site. Flash seems to be aware of this, but can't afford to check. It still gets across in time. Narcy's going to go himself and try and find out what's going on there. Ends up winning the fight. Post-plant Molly getting laid down here. Got to make the defuse inviable. Infiltrator does get it to half at the very least before he steps back. Flare steps up, gets rid of Kimon. Now though, that Taeho util going to stall this out further. Time is getting short. Vora's on the wrap in a 1v3. Has to actually intervene here. Not enough post-plant util. And Winthrop push off the site to dismantle that setup.
The decision to actually stick the spike to half there, take that damage was really good on the fly. That made all the difference, honestly, just forcing Vora to have to swing. Recoil got a good timing as well with the lockdown actually going through. You have to make sure that you can do it in the window where the salvos aren't available. And it's just the easiest counterplay to the lockdown that I think we've ever seen in the game. You just click on it and it goes down. It sucks to be a Killjoy right now.
Yeah, at least back in the Johannes Fury days, there had to be some knowledge of where it was placed.
Yeah, and you had to use
spatial awareness.
You had to use an ult. At least it's a 1-for-1. All right, finally, Sim, first engagement, does find the kill, and he died first a few times in a row. Was making space for his team effectively, though. TSM, they are not slowing down.
Crucially, they've got Arcade tower control already. Smoke's covering Gen, so Narcy can't see a damn thing. Rico's also puts up there just to hold that angle on tree. Doesn't actually prevail despite that. There's going to be a couple players from Winthrop in that direction pushing. Nasi with a fault line, but who's that setting up? Likely Infiltrator, but the timing's not quite there. He's also going to get spotted out by that drone. And Aftershocked in that corner. Recoil also with the Nanoswarm. He's going to force Infiltrator out into the open, and that's where Sim will bring him down. Nasi looking for a timing here out of Canteen, but there'll be no backup. This is a solo effort. And as such, Vora's going to shut it down comfortably. This should seal the deal. There's nothing to be done here for Jerk. No money really to be wasting. He's going to walk away.
That was a lovely little micro play there from Recoil. He was in that Brimstone smoke, retreating, but that was after he got the information on someone pushing through the south side of the map. They were going to get crunched on the retake through B main. Realizes he doesn't need to take that fight, and then double swings with Vora to fight Canteen together instead. Repositions after that. That was really nicely handled from a serious rookie. I mean, TSM have plucked Vora and Recoil straight out of ranked. And honestly, that has not been the method for this TSM roster building in the past. They have just continuously gone back to the well of known tier 2 players that have been hanging around forever. This year, not going for that. They have gotten some real rookies. Yeah, I do. I mean, the rest of the guys on this team, they are mega experienced. I remember the days where Seven was an upcoming player and sub for 100 Thieves eons ago. I mean, since then, it's just gained so much experience, multiple different roles, had a standout year in 2024 in GMD.
Some opportunities to represent, of course, in person. Definitely no longer a rookie. All right, so the entire of this A side here is going to be vacated by Winthrop, and 3 players are going to have to come from drop side. Fault line.
Spike planted.
Catches on initially. Oh, that big Sim in the smoke. Okay, this is 1. 7 there. Kicked out by the looks of things, and Nasty picks a beautiful opportunity here to peek on out. Vora, bottom side, has to tuck around the corner. So many lives, he's still able to catch moves, which honestly is an achievement in and of itself. But this puts TSM in a shorthanded situation. Recoil about to get swung on this corner. Can he find the fight timing at all? His Demonity kill was so easy by Nasty, it was all going to be on Recoil anyway. An Infiltrator exits around with 3.
TSM were trying to do a lot in that post plant. They felt suffocated. They felt like they needed to take some space. And it almost worked out with Sim. I mean, it was cool to try and get up into drop off that fault line, but unfortunately the shots were not clean enough. Had an opportunity maybe to get 2 there. 1 for 1, and after that, Winthrop flooding in, catching the TSM players in transition, trying to move around the site. You can see Seven didn't really know where to go in that instance, especially with all of that utility flushing you out of positions.
It's a 3-round game. The back and forth stuff over the last couple of rounds, and now Rolling Thunder up for Nasi. So some key ultimates, in fact, at hand for Winthrop. This round, though, very different take. This might be the first time we've actually seen TSM allocate 3 players towards Dish. And the loose end will be Recoil here back over towards Spawn side still.
Winthrop, they have that trap set up towards B main, but very unlikely we're going to see anything happen with that. After some time expires, it looks like they want to start actually wandering around the map. Not going to see anyone, though. Like you said, this Dish push for the last round of the half should be coming through when the Armageddon drops onto site. Winthrop playing off-site because of that.
And that was an all just now by Vora. That is his ultimate. Is it Armageddon? Nobody on the site itself except for Sim. He actually comes at the right time not to be affected by that too much. Now he'll set up. Vora going to be planting. His moves carefully checking Hall, waiting. And he's going to have, I think, his reward. Yep, Recoil unknowingly pushes into that operator line. 7 opts to take a fight with just a little tap on that corner. And now, wow, Infiltrator. Another beautiful showstopper. This one catches 7 off guard. And Vora had to correct his crosshair placement quite a lot. Gets concussed up on a special delivery, still having a minute out. Sim here from Link. Beautiful. Takes 2. And it's up to Nasi, who's already on the spike. Half stuck. Vora has to be aware of this. They're running him down, and Nasi tried to get off and spray him. It wasn't enough. TSM in the half with 8 attacking rounds.
Both of these squads are incredibly proactive at repositioning in these post plants. I like that Winthrop were able to kind of pivot into halls together, and frankly, I'm shocked they weren't able to make that retake happen after moves not only cleans up the flank, but they're coming back in with Rolling Thunder, they have the Brim ultimate, they have a Showstopper, and that's still not enough because TSM got out of the way. They then just take space in spawn to avoid the ults. And Sim is on the perfect line to lock things down. I like what I'm seeing from TSM right now. This is pretty cool. I mean, they're coming into 2025 off of an interesting last year, to say the least.
I mean, we did not expect them to be at Ascension. Why?
Oh, absolutely not. I mean, they were struggling for a long time. Recall should be able to get a free one traded out.
No opportunity for Gimon, though, to sort of swing into that and maybe set up a crossfire. Ends up just going solo into a couple of players. And gives Winthrop a player advantage. They're on the A side very quickly here, and it's going to be Flair playing the most important position.
Oh, that's a good missile to lay so Jer can actually pick up the line and swing off of Flair. There was a moment where he could have been caught alone.
Come TSM now. This crossfire should be easy to put. Oh, he was in drone at the time. Nasi was in his stealth drone. Just a little bit awkward there. That's the way to cookie crumble sometimes. It's going to have to move to the headhunter to stop this in its tracks. He's just going to face them down, giving TSM another pistol.
That drone timing completely cooked their setup. That is all it came down to. It's tough for Flair to try to get one kill there in that corner. Like, he's really relying on someone being able to swing for him. Just needed to stay with the gun ready, able to swing. That is
that
tough.
Could be the map, man. Like,
it really could be, yeah.
Give me this. Like, Jerk. Unfortunate timing there. Yeah, it would have been in a decent position to hold that cross, but TSM ended up coming out in a 2 versus 1 there and just putting Nasty in a position where he has to go for it. All right, well, into the end here you go now. A couple of Guardians. Spectre board up here by Kimon. And eyes are over. Way! Oh, Nasty. Watch out, son. He gets clear of that util, though. No one's there to follow up on it, really.
It's fairly passive from TSM right now, trying to play at the range with the Guardians that they have. Winthrop could get a fair duel against a couple of these pistols, though, I suppose. They've bought in a Sheriff to the round for Infiltrator.
He is probing. Over by drop. Sees a bit of 7. Infiltrator down to 68 already. 7 also. Seen better days.
Hoping as well, or Winthrop, that, you know, maybe the Rays being spotted there could draw some attention. Like, hey, the duelist is here to, you know, come in A type thing. But that is not going to be the case. Oh, that's the spike in tower. Oh, no, guys. We can't be giving it up there.
They're going to fight for it again. But again, the Spectre for recall is perfect. Just running gun weapon. He just swings that corner. Winthrop had to deal with the util that he put down. Kimon holding his other side as well. And, oh, man, TSM lock tower down. And, I mean, in fairness, we often talked about how the Killjoy against Teho util could be forced out of that part of the map and doesn't have the util to fight for it. But Recall was able to buy some time with that Nano Swarm and then just swing the corner or to take the fights with a better gun.
It's one of the top places in Valorant where you do not want to be dropping the spike. In fact, anywhere where you have to go up a rope to retrieve it, leaving it in some kind of heaven location, ill-advised, unless you're Team Leviathan in Berlin 2022 and you're ready to teleport into heaven as Josh screams, "That's the spike." You don't really want to leave it in a position like that.
Fast play here off Arcade for TSM. Looks like, yeah, moves in cope with the fault line. They still fancy B, but they're hitting it from the south side instead. And TSM having pushed off that side for the early action, they have to retake tower, which is what Sim is attempting here. Here's the flashpoint. Jerk unaffected by it, though. He's too far back enough. Oh, he sees it all. Swings out into the line. What a fault line setup, though. Infiltrator more than happy to take 2 kills off the back of that. And a perfect tower clear and some sharpshooting from Nasi makes this an easy round for Winthrop.
Nasi's aim has looked robotic in these situations. Recoil getting some significant damage in. This could have been way cleaner from Winthrop, huh? I mean, yeah, that's great. He can't be getting away with 3 there.
That is a 1 round for Winthrop. 1 round, you take every gun you just bought out of it. And then Recoil just kills 3.
You're leaving that round really frustrated if you're Winthrop. Up 5 players to 2. Great little utility sync in, you know, syncing up that fault line with the stealth drone in heaven. You get your free kills on Infiltrator there. And they feel pressured to take the timeout now. Do they want to throw their economy completely on the line here? Like, they can get a decent buy-in, but now this is a must-win round, which, look, TSM are obviously in a massive lead, but could have at least, padded that economy by 1 if things go awry. And now, not the case.
Their other match, of course, Shopify Rebellion Black and Burger Boys. Pretty close on split, the first map of that series. So we'll be heading over every now and then, folks, to give you the updates from our off-stream games. I want to point out here, though, on Fracture, in the present, in the big 2025, Nasi 1 orb away from this Rolling Thunder. So it could also be Winthrop trying to figure out how they can play for an early orb here and have both those big initiator ultimates to hit the side.
This map had been gone for so long that I forgot how good it was. Like, everyone kept saying how amazing this map was when it was coming back. And I was like, was it? I couldn't remember. And no, this map is actually just goated and it should stay in the pool. This map is so good.
All right. Off the rip, it is Winthrop in the hall. Flash here, stealth drone also pinging out. No easy orb control at the start of the round for Winthrop. TSM, though, looks like they're actually happy to give it up. And, I don't know if I want to anchor really in this side against those double initiator ultimates.
So the missiles come down from the Tejo just to force anyone off of the common angles so Winthrop can gain pretty easy access to the A site. Sim has that op. He's vacated A, though. He's grouped up towards B to play for Arcade, and that's offered a decent timing for Winthrop to execute. They just have to deal with the 1 anchor. 7 has to at least get 1.
So A-Link smoke. Vora actually opts to step out of it here. I don't know if they're ready for this. Ooh! Flare down! Good work for Vora. Now might set up 7 for a little bit more success. Moves should have been able to see that, but just wasn't watching the line. That is a huge gap in the net for Winthrop. Vora finds 3 on the round here, and Moves has to try and salvage. Spike loose over on the side. This is going to be covered as Sim is watching from A-Link. And how the heck does Vora get out of Link and take that shot?
Unfortunately, Winthrop, they missed that window to really execute into the site heavily. Things get awkward with the Infiltrator trying to satchel. But yeah, it is all about that little timing that Vora finds to take that free kill. 16-8 for the ranked demon that's been called up. Top fragging and IGLing, by the way. This guy has never played on a team the caliber of TSM ever. A lot of random little tournaments with various teams, nothing this serious.
Profiles look really good. And again, we criticize TSM for having a plan and then abandoning it over and over again with weird calling and just very erratic play. That's a big issue for us, I think, as we watch them in Ascension, only managing to beat Glorious in a best of 3. But all of their series going to 3 maps. They got the quality, but it all just seemed to fall apart at inopportune moments. Here, though, the execution looks pretty crisp.
That was surprising to see last year as well, because that was a way more experienced roster overall than this one. And obviously we've just got a small, we've only got a little small taste of TSM so far, but I like what I'm seeing.
I play around this Rolling Thunder pretty well. TSM know it's coming. Play off the side entirely. That is a nice shot. That's starting to take control of halls now. TSM can creep up in there. There's not really been anything left behind to cover this. Awkwardly, it'll be Jerk that has to watch it from the A side, which is a pretty bad angle. Winthrop might have to take a pretty messy engagement here, but Vora thought he was ready for it. We did too. And he gets brought down. It's a stinger in the mix that's getting value, but oh my goodness, recoil. He is sharp, man. Infiltrator in the same spot that Vora was set up in the previous round. It's going to be a trade, and it's all down to Jerk on the site. Now gives his position away. Kimon, seasoned veteran, grizzled. He's been around the block a couple times here. I like the attempt at a concuss there, but Jerk caught himself with it, and Kimon was not affected.
That was some really good movement from GMD. A second left, able to get the stick. Oh, God. Winthrop have made some good decisions in tough situations very late into the round in post plants. The fight in spawn there is really cool, but then they're just not wise to the fact that someone from A main could have gotten into heaven, and they simply have to be. There are little mistakes that are adding up, in mass for Winthrop, and it's overriding some of the really cool decisions that they are making, like that spawn fight.
And it's just little gaps that are being exploited by
You
it.
want to
Like
play?
the timing
Let's
with the
play.
drone, it doesn't give them the crossfire in the pistol, or not checking from drop to A link for Vora pushed out, even though a player was there like a few moments ago. It's honestly been really rough to watch for Winthrop. Velcro, spot it out, recall, let's get out of here. Infiltrator on the chase, doesn't connect that showstopper though, but is out on the site now with 2 smokes in the way. Gimon cannot see the fact that Raze has crossed and won't realize Infiltrator is below him.
Oh my god, he
Infiltrator's not
actually
checking.
just goes for it. He walks through.
No way!
That's free.
Okay, Gimon was trying to set up some smokes by the looks of things, but that is going to blow up in his face. Armageddon here paves the way for TSM on this retake, and Recall's found their 3rd of the round. Jurt trying to get ahead of it, but only has a Guardian to work with. That's going to be tough to get out of. And now the salvo catches him right where he stands, gives him the hot foot, and gives TSM a map 1 win.
This is an explosive-looking TSM team. The pace they're playing with is a treat to watch. Makes for fun Valorant, I'll tell you that.
Defenders win.
And it's a good way to have some instant coordination, honestly. Like, all of the utility with this Taeho meta, these common comps that you're seeing right now, it is pretty straightforward, and playing a speedy game with it is very effective when you're still in the process of building up the teamwork together with this new team, building up the rookies who, by the way, were fragging out. This is a cool team. I'm excited to see more of TSM, which at times in the past wouldn't have said the same
Times
thing.
in the past, I was telling him to get him off my screen. I won't lie. I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. This is fun though, right? Recall looking very, very good. That second half, it looked very, very sharp. So looking forward to another map here for this TSM side as Winthrop stumbled on a map wide before we go to a break that they were very good on it in the qualifiers. Both wins against, I think, Rose and Shopify Rebellion in gold. So not a great sign. If this is Winthrop's quote-unquote silver bullet, that one has got stuck in the chamber, blown up in their face. We'll be back after a short break, folks, for our second map of this series. It's TSM versus Winthrop, a Challengers Classic.